What?
Next week we're leaving for Italy.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
We're going to Rome and Florence, which is what we're doing.
Do you have off from school?
We have off. We're not in public school. We're in private school, so
Uh-huh.
When are you going?
we're leaving a week from Sunday.
Yeah,
We're
this
going to
is
go
Sunday.
for 12 days.
Wow.
Next week.
A week from today, sorry, next week. In the evening, we're leaving at 5:50 something
Uh-huh.
from JFK. We arrive in Rome Monday morning and crash, and we'll be there for 5 or 6 days, and then we we take the train, I think.
Take the train.
Yes,
yeah.
the-
Yeah,
Train's
take the
interesting,
train.
yeah.
Della doesn't want me to
We
drive.
took the train.
She says I can drive, but they're going to take the train.
Yeah.
And
I took the train. We
I'll
took the
stay in
train.
the car with
We
you.
took the train,
she wants to...
and we
It's an
schlepped
experience.
all the luggage.
Yes, we're
on
going to
the-
do that too. Yeah, actually, Dylan and Phoebe will schlep a luggage.
Oh,
They have to
thank
be
you.
in shape, so...
It's an interesting experience.
Is
the
it?
Train.
Yeah,
I
I'm trying to
am
understand.
in
It's
shape, Dad.
the antithesis of efficiency, I understand. Is that right?
No,
He's
well,
got
that's,
huge
that too.
muscles.
I know they haven't run on time since Mussolini, but
That's right.
but no, you meet like characters on the
Yeah.
train.
The trains run on time.
Their own time.
The
On a tiny
second.
time.
Their own
The
time.
second.
Well, we're going to go to Siena because Della... See, all of this... Della has been there 25 years ago. I've never been to
So
Italy.
we were there.
So she remembered climbing 3 towers in Siena. She remembers seeing the Pope in Rome. She remembers all these things. So she wants us all to
Yeah, we saw
go
the
there.
Pope.
She thinks we're going to love it, or I'm going to love it
Oh, if you go see the
specifically.
Pope, ask him what he thinks of the Passion of Christ.
We're gonna, and that's as it was.
As it was,
As
right.
it was, right.
It's like, sir, are you tight
I
with Mel
think,
Gibson?
I think he's not too happy with it.
I don't know.
I think he's not too happy with the controversy. Probably the picture
Yeah.
doesn't bother him
Yeah.
so much.
Have you seen it?
No, I have no
No.
intention of
We,
seeing it.
Della and I have to because Della teaches Christianity and I also talk about Catholicism in Europe, so we feel we have to see it. So we will see it. But it's interesting because in my Hebrew school we've already talked about some of the claims that Mel Gibson made. The first is, I don't need any other sources except the Gospels. That's all the history I need. That's his first claim.
Right.
And the second claim is that the Gospels themselves are an accurate representation of the events as they would have
Listen,
happened.
there's
No,
one
but
thing
it
I've-
depends on what book you read.
Right.
Because the books,
Disagree
like
with
John,
each other.
They disagree with each
John
other.
is
Yeah, but none of the books are contemporaneous.
listen,
Right.
fourth from the longest part of
What?
away.
what is the gospel?
The gospel?
A
The
gospel. The gospel.
The Gospel
The
is
gospel is the Bible.
a
No, I
written
know, but
record.
I mean, what
It's the
is the
written
version?
record.
What does the Bible say?
Well, you see, when you ask that question, there are 4 points of view. Actually, there were more than 4, but there are 4 main points of view of the story of Jesus. And that's what the Gospels, each of the Gospels are trying to
Okay,
capture
so
that.
each of the gospels is from a different grouping.
Different grouping of people, different
Of
sect
people.
of understanding of
Okay,
Christians.
so what is the accepted version?
The accepted version are 4 versions that disagree with each
So
other.
it's 4 versions. So in other words, they don't know either.
Right.
Well, they're
So-
somewhat political versions.
That's- yeah.
Because they were written for a purpose. They had a political purpose behind
And,
them.
right, exactly.
Blame the
Exactly.
Jews
that
that
So
were
it depends,
message.
right, depends when.
They were
and
written
who
10 to
and
50
by
years
who.
after the event.
300
Right,
years.
300 years.
300 years
Yeah.
after.
There's no Jews left, so they just blame the Jews.
It's easy to
because
blame them.
That's easy. Nobody likes the Jews, and
They're a non-entity. They're in the,
Well,
in the
so-
Galus.
so this can't be
because
forbidden.
they figured that the Jews were the ones who killed Christ.
Well, no,
And,
that's not
um,
exactly
But that's
true.
They
that's
were-
only a version. What are the versions?
That's the gospel
That's a
that they've been
that's an antiversion, that's a
spreading.
perversion.
But that's
That's a
the
good
gospel that they've been spreading.
Well, the reason the Romans
And-
come off so nicely is that by the time Constantine makes the Roman Empire Christian, it wouldn't be good to have a document that shows that the Romans were the villains. So they sanitized the Gospels and took out the Romans. The Romans are not villains really much in any of their Gospels. However,
But the actual
The
history.
Jews-
yeah, the actual Roman history of their own
Romans
leaders
say that
Yeah.
Pontius Pilate was a horrible man.
That's right.
mean
He's a
man.
sadist.
I know.
is a sadist. The other thing is, I mean, there are all these inaccuracies and inconsistencies between the different tellings.
Right.
And Jews can handle that because the Mishnah and the Talmud are both trying to reconcile many different
Right.
recordings over history. The issue of whether or not the Jews are to blame for killing Jesus kind of is counterproductive for Catholicism because they're trying to prove that everyone was supposed to be responsible for the death of Jesus, all humankind,
All human-
and that God
Well-
ordained this. So even if Jews stopped it, they would have been displeasing God.
Well, even so, the majority of people who have seen it have said it's anti-Semitic,
Mm.
and
Well, it accuses the
it
Jews
will.
of deicide, essentially, is what they're saying. And,
Right.
which is a little ridiculous since
Well,
Jesus didn't
it's not
become the
ridiculous,
son
it's
of
how
God
you
until
perceive
a
it.
number of years after he died.
Heresy.
Very,
Oh my
very,
God.
very talented.
Stop.
Man.
However, anyhow,
Anyhow,
we just got back from Tahoe, Lake Tahoe,
Oh,
Leslie and Jeff and myself.
how was that?
It was wonderful.
Yeah, Tahoe's such a pretty lake.
Beautiful, especially in the winter.
So was it? It wasn't
So
frozen
where
though,
was it
no?
exactly, Ellie?
Lake? No, Lake.
No,
No,
Lake's-
what?
Where was it?
Lake Tahoe?
Lake
Nevada.
Tahoe. Where Lake Tahoe? I keep
California.
thinking, I know,
Isn't
but I
it
mean, I
border?
always think of it as near Denver, but it's
No,
No.
it's
No,
on the
it's
border of Nevada and California.
Nevada.
And our hotel was on the street that was the border.
Uh-huh.
That's
Huh.
cool.
We were in Harrah's.
Oh, is it also? It's a casino.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful hotel. And
Yeah.
I tell you, the people there were terrific. The service
He hasn't
was
stopped
unbelievable. It's the best.
remarking
it's the
about
best
the people,
service.
the service.
It's the best I
and
ever had. I
everything.
mean, we stayed at the Hyatt what, 2 or 3 times up in the Tahoe, and it was, they were good, but this was
And this was what?
Harrah's.
Harris?
Yeah, like the casino in
Like
Lake
the
City.
casino?
Same.
So
Uh-huh.
the casinos have moved down the road
Ellie,
from
was
Marina.
it a lot of snow? I mean, was it snowing at all?
We went
It
skiing.
snowed all day Monday. We were
Yeah.
skiing in the snow all day Monday, and I think we had a little bit of snow up at the top of the mountain on Tuesday and Wednesday from wind blown kind of stuff, crystal, whatever. But basically, it wasn't bad otherwise. Reno had a foot of snow, which is the first time in recent memory that they can remember having snow, because it doesn't usually snow there. The funny thing is, you got up to the top of the mountain, and Heavenly Mountain, and one side is California, one side is Nevada.
Uh-huh.
So California's all white, and Nevada's all brown,
Wow.
because it's the desert.
Oh, is it the Continental Divide there or something,
No,
or no?
Divide is in Colorado.
It's in
Yeah,
Colorado.
Yeah.
The Rockies.
So it just
This
has
is
to
the
do where the
Sierra
snow
Nevada.
comes from.
Huh?
Does that have to do with where the snow comes from, or it
Yeah,
ended
it
up?
comes up over the lake, actually,
Mhm.
for the most part. The last day we skied at Kirkwood, which is a huge area. This is the Carson Pass area, where all the wagon trains went over,
Uh-huh.
and the gold rush of '49.
Does the train go through there, the Zephyr? And
Yeah, I remember we
We went with all the
it
snow
stopped-
sheds
it
and so on.
stopped in Reno, and
The train
it
goes
down
through
the
Truckee.
street.
Truckee, yeah, it
That's
does.
the north part
North
of
of
it.
it. So you're
That's
south of
actually
there?
near the dorm. That's north near the Donner Pass.
Done.
The Donner Pass, of course, is famous because they
Yes,
tried to go through
cuisine.
there one time, and
Yeah.
people ended up eating each other. But
If I remember correctly, Dylan knew all about trains,
Yeah.
where they went. Dylan, are you still interested in them? Not
Not as
going?
much, but
Now
he
it's baseball.
still knows it.
He still knows it, but it's baseball. He's
He just
built
won't
into
tell
not
you.
sports.
Uh-huh.
sports in
This-
general.
Fresh out.
This
It's
Carson
funny, but
Pass area.
I remember as a little boy, he could
Yeah.
tell you exactly where everything went.
They used to play a game, try to stump Dylan. They would ask him how to get from someplace to
Yeah,
someplace
you're
else.
right.
Oh,
And he'd
when
find
I
a
was
way.
like in 5th or 6th grade, these like seniors would be coming up to me and I'd try to stump me, and I'd get it every time, and they'd be so frustrated.
So tell us about Carson Pass. This Carson.
Okay, Carson Pass. This is the Kirkwood ski area, which is about 25, roughly 20 to 30 miles south of Lake Tahoe. And the amount of snow they had there was like unbelievable. Like the base ranged from I think 190 to 280 inches of snow, which is
Wow.
15 to 20.
How could that be?
It's unbelievable. You
Because
see
it
trees there that are
snows.
10 feet
It
high.
snows
They're actually 40 feet high.
Wow.
40 feet high.
Oh my God.
Buried up to the, it only has like this much thick.
But are there crevasses? Do people like fall between? Is it like?
There weren't any crevasses there. It's a strange area. It's like a huge open area, and it goes up up the mountain like this, okay?
Uh-huh.
And there's like a wall up there, and you kind of ski off the wall if you go to the top. You kind of come down off
Oh.
the face.
And it's soft powder all the way.
It's not all powder, but it's a lot of powder, and the best powder skiing in that whole area is there. And when they have a new snow, everybody kind of runs. The
Yeah.
powder skiers run. I forget that. For me, forget that. I can't handle the powder anymore. But
Powder's nice and soft, and It requires you
When you
to.
sink in, it requires a lot of leg strength,
Uh,
because you gotta keep your tips up and lean into it, or lean back, I mean, and
wow.
it's a little bit of strain. We did paddle skiing originally in Chamonix, we did some in Utah. At that time, it was a little better. Now just give me a nice, easy.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, we did some black diamond ones also, but it was just the most spectacular skiing I've done in a long time.
And Leslie and Jeffrey?
Yeah.
How's Jeffrey doing?
It's been great.
Jeffrey
He
is
just moved home.
living with us, and
Broke up
he
with
came in
Diane.
last Saturday, and then he went
Right.
skiing.
We moved all the stuff into the
for
house
a
Saturday,
week.
and Sunday we took off.
And then he came home Friday about 2:30
Oh,
in
we
the
got home 2 in the
morning.
morning there.
Wow.
Because the plane was supposed to land at 9:15, but the Newark airport was fogged in.
Oh, yes, I remember the fog.
And
And before that,
they
Chicago
wouldn't let
with
them
wind, so we couldn't
take
get to
off
Chicago
from
till
Chicago.
2 hours late.
Wow.
So when did you get home, actually?
So he got
Well, we
in
actually got home to the
about
house at 2 in the morning.
2:15 or something like that.
Wow. There wasn't any traffic from once you got into Newark. So that was nice.
Fortunately, Ron picked us up. And,
Oh.
And Ron picked him
But,
up and he brought him home.
we had a very nice time. A very nice time. And it's a beautiful area. I mean, it's just, like Leslie says, how you can't doubt God's existence when you're up there, because you look out
Right,
there.
how do you like
You
that?
can see like half of California and laid out in front of you with all the mountains and everything.
We're National Park Jews too, actually. We
Beautiful.
saw the Grand Canyon and we really,
Yeah.
we found
Oh,
God.
Utah, so scenic.
Utah's so pretty.
Utah's gorgeous. Yeah.
Huh.
I love Utah.
Yeah, Utah.
Although I
is
kept on thinking I'd
beautiful.
get abducted by Mormons. Just disappear
He
from the
has
face of the earth.
strange ideas about that.
I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll. You know how it is.
And we're with JCLDS.
But with Mormons, you can't be country or rock and roll.
Well, Donnie was. Donnie and Marie both were. I mean, that's what they were
That's
saying.
right.
Yeah.
And,
Well, they must have had special
Yeah, the dispensations.
dispensation.
You run some interesting people there. I tell you, it always amazes me. We've been to Tahoe a few times now, but it always amazes me that when you talk to the locals, they like came there as teenagers or in their early 20s and just decided to stay. You know, they hitchhiked out there or they came
But
out for a visit.
A lot of
And then
people
went home.
at ski areas are the same.
Yeah, that's true.
The
They're
same.
nice. I mean, we were talking to a number of different people, and oh yeah, I've been here since I'm 18. You know, and he's got 2 kids, and
Wow.
his wife graduated from the University of Vermont, and he drives a truck or something like that. You know, whatever. But they do whatever they have to do to,
Yeah.
you know.
So they can ski.
And they were homeschooled. This particular couple was homeschooling their children. He gave a big smile with 2 front teeth.
He
He
didn't
says, as
know
long as I can chew my
dentist.
food, I said, I can help you out.
Isn't it true that when you go west to ski and you come back east, it's not the same?
Don't you get spoiled?
Yeah.
Doesn't the West spoil you
Yeah,
and then
that's
the East
true.
doesn't match up to
Because
the
the
East?
east is all ice.
That's what he says.
I don't, you know, it's like, for me, it's like different places for different things,
Uh-huh.
you know. I mean, there's no beach in Lake Tahoe.
That's
and,
right. But I mean-
think
I like
Ellie
that
is,
kind of
Well,
stuff.
Ellie
he's
is a,
asking you. He's
a
asking
diverse-
you
diverse
as far
type.
as the skiing
Yeah.
is
That's what I
concerned.
mean.
Skiing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, skiing out west is different than skiing.
Isn't it better?
Much better.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
it's not.
The
That's what-
snow is lighter,
Uh-huh.
fluffier, because there's less moisture content. And that makes a big difference.
Because the
Doesn't
person ahead of you
melt
hasn't rutted
The
the.
same way.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, like after a while, it's like tobogganing or sledding. After a while, there's a run, and there's only one way you can go. And skiing, it's pretty dangerous if you want to have control of where you go, and then someone else has gone a way you didn't want
That's
to
right.
go.
And yeah, of course, you have a lot of snowboarders now in a lot of these places, and they're constantly moving the terrain around anyhow.
Yeah, the moguls
But,
keep moving.
You know what happens in the north? I think the snow melts, and in the west it sublimates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's really what happens.
It was.
And it may have a lot to
Sublimates?
do with the altitude.
Sublimation is when a solid goes directly to gas.
Oh.
It bypasses the melting
Bypass
thing.
the liquid
Okay.
stage.
It doesn't go to liquid at all.
Doesn't always do that. Obviously, 2 years
No.
ago when I fell and dislocated my shoulder, it was because it was 65 degrees out and really
well,
slide.
how is your shoulder? How does it react, you know?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Just don't ask me to lift anything more than 2 pounds. I
Oh, yeah.
above my neck, but other than that,
Your brother can relate to that.
Yeah, apparently
I know.
I didn't totally damage him for life with my.
But when we were
Good
taking
shot.
the sofa out of Grandma's other apartment, he felt very unmanned
Yes, well,
because he
also I was watching him.
he just wanted desperately to do it right.
To lift,
to do it,
schlep,
and
what
so-
do you call
And
it?
then we were doing it. So.
Yeah, we managed to get it home in pretty much one piece.
Yeah.
It's in one
One little piece came
so-
off, which I glued back on,
Yeah.
which is fine. But
That's good.
yeah,
Still alive?
still, it's a marvelous couch. I love that couch. I sit and dream on that
It's
couch.
off limits to the dog.
And then I
so
puff it
it'll
up,
always
which was
be,
my job
Uh-huh.
as a kid to
Good.
puff it up.
Right
And
there.
every family was a puff it upper.
It's off limits to the dog, so it'll always.
Dog
be
is
there.
nowhere near that. Dog cannot go.
It's funny, isn't it?
That's why I wouldn't let Lauren even think about having it. It's her dog in that house.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they definitely do.
Love that couch. It's fabulous.
So, you're going off to Rome, and you'll see Rhoda, I guess?
We just emailed her, and she's excited, and we're going to connect with her.
That's good.
We're doing that. We're going to go to Los Angeles in June. And Dylan's going to Spain in July. And
Where are you going with the Spanish class?
On a program, yeah. I go to Segovia for 2 weeks to stay with a family, and then learn Spanish during the day.
That's great.
And then the last 2 weeks I go around the south and then to Madrid.
So how long are you going to be gone?
A month.
Oh, a month. Wow.
What do they have in Segovia? Guitar players?
It's
Yeah,
really
so-
nice. We liked Segovia.
I was
We were
actually
there that
we were actually
summer.
there for a day last year. We were in Madrid. It's they have a Roman aqueduct there that's still there,
So beautiful.
and the fortress was what Disney copied when they built the Magic Kingdom. So that's its claim to fame. Is 1300.
Moorish?
it's not Moorish, it's Norman.
Oh, Norman.
Norman style.
Oh.
Lots of points.
Yeah. Steep roofs. And we climbed to the top, which was
Alright.
Kinda
exhausting.
silly.
We'll have to visit
Who is the
Spain.
family that you're staying with?
I don't know yet.
Doesn't know yet. The program is the Rossi's program. It's the same program that I did Chinese with, but this is established just for high school students. Mine is, I'm going to go back to Dartmouth.
How many
This summer.
of you are going?
22, I think.
Oh, it's a whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we each stay with our own
Different,
family.
yeah,
Do
right.
you
then-
get together at all?
They have
Well,
classes.
So, yeah, and in the last 2 weeks we traveled together, so we
Oh.
did to go together.
Travel around
That's,
Spain.
yeah, sounds good.
Can I go?
I know. Della was so excited she wanted to go.
Everybody's-
I'll
everybody
go-
I've talked
I'll go
about
too.
this-
They'll take me, I'll go.
I will go also.
Really?
I'll learn
Everybody I
Spanish.
talk to says, "Can I go?" And then my friend, I think I might have convinced him to do so. I think he's gonna do one of those things in France that he wasn't originally considering that. So I might have had some sway over that too.
Dylan's feeling pretty good about
Yeah.
himself right now.
Good.
And Phoebe's going to be in an arts camp this summer.
Wonderful. That's
That's great.
You're
Yeah,
going to an art
apologize
camp?
to my children.
Leslie.
Yes, I wish I had rich
Right.
parents.
For not sending you off like that.
Send us off to Atlantic
Leslie
City, as they say.
went every day to this
An arts camp?
camp, and she learned drama, and that's where she would act, and paint, and color.
I'm going to Bucks Rock, which is a sleepaway, my first sleepaway, and it's the coolest camp. They have in visual arts everything from glass blowing to bronze casting and printmaking and
Wow, that's
Things are a little
terrific.
different nowadays than they
It's
were. Yeah.
it's not a this was a college, a program within a college.
Right.
and
This-
then the other half is performing arts, which
Oh.
music, dance, and theater.
You're gonna
And
perform music?
what session are you in?
Oh,
Or-
you choose whatever you want to do
Oh.
every day. Anything you could do. You basically wake up and you say, "What do I think I want to do today?" And you go to the clown class, and then you go to make earrings or whatever.
Glass
Wow,
blowing or.
that's terrific.
All right, so what are we gonna ask my mother here?
Well, actually, that was now that we actually have one of the perpetrators of this crime. We wanted to revisit the scene that Grandma remembered in a dream recently.
Oh God,
Of
I brought up too.
Aunt Sue is 3 weeks old in a baby carriage, and and in the care of you and your brother, and so you're basically doing a kind of Pisa gravity
Remember that,
experiment.
Ellie?
Do you remember?
Yes, do you, does my mother tell you that my earliest memory was I was 6 weeks old, I had my bris, it was such a pain.
They had to wait that long when you weren't ready.
I was jaundiced or something.
You were jaundiced, so you
Yeah,
couldn't have a
yeah,
bris till you were
right.
6 weeks.
Jaundiced
But-
meaning
He
yellow,
was 6
meaning
weeks.
yellow, not biased.
He was 6 weeks old, that's right. You're right, Ellie.
God.
When you go back in
Experience.
history, maybe that's a reason for whatever you're looking back on or something.
Think of all the money you're saving from therapy here, right
That's
here,
Right.
sitting
But
on the
it-
couch.
But also, Ellie, I have to tell you that in that 6 weeks, he gained about 10 pounds. He was a real fat little kid.
Probably a demon.
No, let's revisit this. So, where were you living when this happened? When Sue was born? Was this in
In 68th and Dix.
68th and Dix?
Right.
Right.
So, and the store,
Was
you
on-
lived over the store? Or?
Yes, he was over the store.
Yeah. And see, it was like a slope. What do you call it? The house was on a little higher rise than the store was like at the bottom part of the,
Right, the store was ground level.
around, yeah, right.
But the basement, which was level with the basement actually,
Okay.
but the first story of the house, two-story house basically, the lawn was like built up like
Mhm.
this.
So it was a lawn, a grass lawn?
And it was a grass lawn. And of course,
Sidewalk next to it.
yeah,
And you were how old
when?
when Sue was born? Aunt
Well, I was
Sue?
10 and a half, I guess.
10 and a half. So my father was 34, 35 at that time.
I think,
8 years old going on 34 or 35 at that time. So whose idea was it to do this experiment?
which experiment? Right.
To roll the baby carriage down the hill, one person at the top of the hill and one person at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, more
It
than
must
likely
have been
mine.
Howard's. It must have been.
Yeah,
You're on tape here. You sure you don't want to reconsider that, Martha?
I see that evil
Martha
look in his
Stewart.
eyes. Like it
I
had to
know
be
it would have
his.
been mine.
It would've
And
been yours.
Ellie had all the good ideas.
I had all the good
I
ideas.
told her,
But Howard
Yeah,
implemented
but yeah, but you know, he had these.
So
you
who
know
was
the
at the
evil
top and who was
ideas,
at the
right?
bottom? Who would have been? I guess you would have been at the bottom,
Ellie
the
was
bigger.
at the bottom.
I was
Howard
like the
was at
bottom,
the
yeah.
top.
So my father was the one that released the carriage, and then inertia would take over. And this was a four-wheel
So
buggy.
Yeah.
With
Well,
a-
And luckily, he had two good shoulders then.
Oh, it's baby carriage. Really?
Baby
He was only
carriage.
a few weeks old.
And who,
Oh, well, she's old enough.
so who interrupted the science experiment
Which science experiment?
of drop inertia, the effect of inertia on a baby buggy
Oh.
inhabited by a
I don't
two-week-old baby?
recall. Actually, I don't recall this whole thing at all.
Okay.
His
Yeah,
father
a lot of things I remember
his
about that
father
area.
went out and beat the hell out of both of them. Well, not quite, but
Not really. Not really.
but he smacked each one. That's for
My
sure.
father only whacked me 3 times.
One time you got away with it.
Well, I got away with a lot of stuff, but
You got-
3 times I didn't.
Well, one time was playing follow the leader, and you stepped over the top of a car, and my father
Yes.
stepped through the
Yes,
top.
the 36 Plymouth that had a kind
It's
of
His foot, his foot, his foot
a
is
leather or false leather roof on top or something. I don't know.
Was it convertible or
No, it was a
soft
hard top,
Hard
of
top.
sorts, but it had for some reason it had some kind of material on the top, and I just
It
stepped
was a
through it.
convertible.
You stepped through it, and my father got
He
caught.
stepped through
Is
it.
that correct?
No,
you,
I
got,
got-
you
I
got
got
caught?
whacked.
You got whacked?
Yeah.
That's not the story that your mother's been telling
No, I
us.
got whacked. I got whacked 3 times. That was one.
One time.
One time was I hid the Life magazine under the bathtub, and I wouldn't tell him where it was, or I lied about it. And I lied, I guess. And,
Why
the other
did
one
you,
was. There was another time too.
Hide the
I was
Life
reading Life magazine. I don't know. My father was always supposed
Because
to have
there was
first dibs on the Life
bathing
magazine.
beauties in it. Bathing beauties in it.
Yeah, right. Life magazine. In those days, bathing beauties wore the face up to the neck. And I think there was another time, which I can't recall what it was. But
Now, is it true that you and your partner in crime, your brother, were attempting to make gunpowder in the basement with the chemistry kit?
we did.
You did make gunpowder. How did you know that,
That
it
was
was
on
gunpowder?
Arlington Street.
Arlington Street.
Um,
So how old were you?
We had
Were
a
you in your
chemistry
teens?
set. We got a chemistry set when we lived at the 68th and Dix. It was given to us by. It wasn't Bill and Abe.
Yeah, it was somebody there.
Somebody, I forget, one of the relatives gave us this chemistry set. So the first thing, of course, we did was we made something that produce hydrogen sulfide. So everything in the house tasted from rotten eggs. Disgusting. And I wanted to serve liver that night, so it was a double. You know. When we moved over
Well,
to,
they were such rotten kids.
we moved to, I forget if it was West Philly or Winfield.
Yeah.
At that time, we were mixing up gunpowder. We had
Saltpeter and
yeah, with sulfur and charcoal and everything else. We made it a little pestle, mortar and pestle.
like a crucible
And
almost.
we light it. Yeah,
Did it explode?
yeah, it went off. It didn't explode, but it went. You know, like that.
And what precautions had you taken in terms of fire safety or?
Just got the hell
No,
out of it.
no.
And this is in the
No
basement?
precautions. There weren't
Actually, we didn't light it till it was
There
outside.
wasn't
Oh,
anything
outside.
to do in those
By the
days,
garage, yeah.
Oh, we stole the
except
fire.
run.
So we did all kinds of,
That's what
you know,
they
we
did.
made all these simple experiments, you know, stuff used for assessing pH and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
They were really rotten. They were really rotten kids. They were good kids, but they were always trying out something.
Well,
That's
So
how you learn.
now talk about your grandpa who jacked up the back porch on auto jacks for a while. Do you remember that? To replace the beams that supported the back porch. Was this Arlington Street?
that would be Arlington Street, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
No,
That's something my father remembers, I guess.
yeah.
yeah.
No, I wasn't into carpentry. The thing we did there was, when my grandfather made us a wagon, a wooden wagon, with wooden wheels and everything else.
Oh,
It was very heavy and it was very
Everything.
fast.
everything he made was heavy.
Arlington Street was on an incline, so that we had a big wide driveway behind it because all the garages were behind and under the houses. And Howard and I would kind of rigged up some kind of a brake sort of the back wheel, and then we get into this wagon and go flying down, literally flying down the driveway in this totally uncontrollable vehicle.
Why am I laughing
This year we
now?
got stopped.
I spent my time you screaming.
And most of the time we ended up going right on 56th Street.
Oh God. There was no trolley on 56. There was
No,
no
trolley.
But it was a traffic street.
54.
54.
It was a
that's right.
traffic street, yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
When I look back,
It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of
they did a lot of really
crazy things like
interesting
that.
stuff.
Now, was there a neighbor that against whose house or store you used to play wall ball and used to come out and curse at you? Do you remember that?
It was down in the corner. There was a store, or shops, I guess, at the corner, and they had a brick wall, and we all always played handball there.
That's a good game.
They would come out and scream at us all the time.
Because the noise was making him crazy, or
I
Who was
guess.
it? Who was it?
Funny.
Yeah, no
We used to
idea.
play handball
Oh.
on the wall of the
You
Met.
didn't
Never
get his
got in
name?
trouble. When I went to Steiner, we were across the street from the Met, so we would go and play handball. We lost so many balls on the roofs of the ISIS temple.
the glass
It's
panel?
about 5 stories tall.
Not the glass paneling, on the concrete.
No.
You can't hear it that way.
We also played some kind of game of basketball against the steps,
Mm.
the front steps, and invariably after a short period of time, the neighbors would come out.
Not screaming.
Weinstock or
Yeah.
uh,
Weinstock, they were really rough neighbors. They wanted it pleasant and quiet.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they were the neighbors were basically pretty nice and
Very nice,
Kelso
yeah.
Orber.
That was a
So,
beautiful neighborhood at that time.
Yeah.
Sure.
very nice.
And then on the summers,
Everybody knew everybody else.
Yeah, right,
Through the back.
yeah.
Through the back porch, they would all stand on their porches and,
The parents would all be screaming,
right, at the kids.
right?
so there was radio, but there wasn't TV yet.
Yeah, what there was, wasn't it?
TV
No,
was
we
like
didn't get radio.
No.
We didn't get TV until
I don't know.
1947.
Yeah.
1947. We got our first set, and that was an Admiral console with a 10
Oh,
inch
yeah,
screen.
right, my father, I think, bought that.
No, Daddy bought it at Al's. The guy who owned the garage. Remember, Dad kept the garage and took the truck.
Oh, yeah, right.
He had like a
yeah.
little appliance thing in
Yeah,
there.
that's right, yeah.
We bought the.
But there was
the
one
TV
that my
set there.
father bought.
Well, your father had a Dumont
Oh,
with a 4x6 screen or something like that.
Four by
I
six.
guess that the year before.
uh-huh.
The screen was like this big, you know. I mean, the set was like
You-
this thing here, but
Dad, the screen looks like
Screen.
Gravitover's kitchen TV.
yes,
Yeah.
just like that.
actually, I think it was a 70 screen.
So what did you guys watch when you watched Milton
Listen,
Berle?
my parents had the first TV in the entire neighborhood.
Everybody watched
Everybody used to
Milton
come
Berle.
to my mother's
And
house. used to
Ed
watch.
Sullivan
Ed
used
Sullivan.
to be on
And then
Sundays.
Milton Berle, right,
In fact, that's where we saw the Beatles.
That was many years later.
The first
We
time.
used to watch, of course, we watched the Friday night wrestling and the fights.
Were the fights at the arena on 46th and Market
I think most of the fights came out of St. Nicholas Arena in New York.
in New York?
The wrestling matches came from there. I know that. There were, whatever shows were there, I guess there was,
Ed Sullivan and
yeah, but I think there was also Phil Harris had a show. Went from radio to television.
The Goldbergs?
Morty Amsterdam.
Goldbergs.
I
I remember that.
Yeah.
Molly Goldberg
Molly
used to
Goldberg.
yell out the window.
Yeah,
We followed the crowd.
yeah, they were fun. You know, the shows were
Yeah,
kind of fun.
yeah.
But
And they were all live.
all
I mean,
Yeah.
whatever you saw, it was live.
It was taking place then because the first thing they had after that was Kinescope, I guess, which they started before taping. So it was actually like taking movies, and they were pretty poor quality.
and
Of course, there's Howdy Doody all the time. Annoy my sister with that constantly. Tease her all the time. Howdy Doody and Clarabelle.
you didn't like Howdy Doody? You were too old for it? You couldn't stand it? I can't stand it
What
either.
about Sesame Street?
Sesame Street's not yet, not for
Sesame
decades.
Street and
De-
Quick Draw McGraw and
Quick Draw.
That's 60s, right?
Yeah, that's 60s.
Oh, when I was a kid, Ninja Turtle and Power Rangers.
And Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh boy, we've got
That was a
all
great
the decades covered here.
Right.
So
So watched
the-
the baseball games.
Phillies?
Yeah.
Out of
Gays,
Shive.
out of Sharport.
Was it called Connie Mack yet?
Not yet. I think Connie Mack didn't become Connie Mack until after the Phillies left, I think.
After the A's left, you mean?
Or the A's left,
yeah.
yeah.
Then it became Connie.
Right.
Then the Phillies played in Connie Mack's stadium,
Right.
which is ironic.
Come in. Hello.
Oh, hello. She
Hello.
still has company. I was coming to check on her for dinner.
oh,
Oh.
because
She'll be a little late,
Okay, that's fine.
okay?
Listen,
Okay.
I don't know exactly what are we doing, really.
We have to go.
we
But,
have to,
Maybe
we
I
have
can,
to go.
listen, how about if you guys if you come and just eat, I mean, and then you'll go.
We'll do that another time, Grandma. We really have to go because they have homework and stuff. So that's not going to work today for us.
What time is it now?
It's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Take your time, Bert.
Okay,
You
thanks.
can come down at 6 and eat if you like.
Okay.
You don't have
Fine,
to rush.
thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, there's another story that Grandma used to tell about going to visit certain people who were notorious for not feeding you very much.
It was very funny. Every time we go to see Abe and Bella Mandel,
Okay.
especially, my mother would feed us Howard and I first.
On the way there, or feed you at
Yeah.
home?
No, we had
No,
dinner
we
before we
had-
went.
Okay.
So when we got there, we wouldn't need too much dinner.
Okay.
Because, Howard and I were big eaters. I mean,
Yeah.
we ate everything in sight. I mean, literally. And
And
so we had to be polite, you know, FHB.
Or lots of times we would, when we would go somewhere, I would say, eat what they give you, and then when we leave, we'll go right to a restaurant, so that's what we used to do.
So did you go to restaurants, or did you go to White Castle? What did you do?
No, our favorite restaurant was Horn and Hearts at 54th and City Line.
Was that an automat?
No,
Or was it service?
that was served. We went to a lot of automats too. I think, in fact, the first The first store that I went to was 52nd and Market.
52nd Market, yeah, oh, they
And
love
that
that.
was a one.
Oh, it's great, and I remember
Yeah.
That
the
was a
first time I
Walmart.
decided that I decided I could go up and get my own hot chocolate or something. You know, so they gave me a couple of nickels.
Got so
And I
excited.
stick them in there, you know, I'm all ready to pull the lever. My father comes running over with a cup. With a cup underneath.
Oh, I see.
Like,
So excited.
right.
You can put your mouth under it and catch it. Yeah. Actually, that's one of my first memories. Is,
Actually, that was Horn and Hornets.
Yeah.
At
Yes,
52nd.
Horn and Hornets, right,
52nd.
You ought to know. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Grandma Esther lived on 73rd off of Broadway, and
Right.
72nd there was a Horn and Heart, and she
Yeah,
took the
right.
automat there, so I remember that as well. But
Yeah.
and also in Philly there were. That's where it started, right? In Philly.
Yeah.
I think it started in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It was,
But
they had so many.
I love their food.
ornaments.
And of course, if we went out to eat, we almost always went to the 54th and City Line to the Horn Hearts there
Mm.
because I could order 3 vegetables.
Wow.
Chopped steak and 3 vegetables.
Generally American style food, and
I always had, almost always had the same thing. I'd have a cup of baked beans. You know.
Didn't
And
they
I'd have
serve it
cream
buffet
spinach.
style?
Huh?
No.
Did
No.
they serve
no,
buffet
it's in the
style?
doors. Didn't you have to?
Right. I had cream spinach,
You had
baked
to,
beans, and sweet potatoes.
You love those.
My chopped liver, my chopped beef, rather.
Your chopped beef, which is Salisbury steak or chopped beef or whatever.
Well,
right?
I call it chopped.
Did you ever go as a family out for Italian food or for Chinese food?
Oh,
Or
yeah, sure.
Once in a while.
Yeah. That was
Chinese
much.
food we went out because we always went down to Chinatown. We had Shanghai Gardens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there we always ordered chicken chow mein. My father liked the something in lobster sauce, shrimp and lobster sauce or something or other,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and egg rolls.
Shanghai
And Howard
Garden?
and I used to come kind of have a contest on who could eat the most hot mustard with their without dying.
Where was Shanghai Garden? Race or Arch?
Yeah,
or
Race.
Race.
It was upstairs,
Uh huh.
and they had a gift shop underneath, and Howard and I invariably bought a snake.
A live snake or one of the bamboo ones?
Oh, they were really rotten kids.
Did you guys go to Dante and Luigi's? Was Dante and Luigi's in business at that time?
No,
You don't
I
remember
never
that?
went there. No. In fact, I really didn't go out for Italian food until I met Jackie, and she and her family always went out to. I think there were two restaurants they liked.
Touring
Grotto
Grotto.
and occasionally Ralph's.
Ralph's.
In 16th
Yeah, Ralph's was
and,
great.
Yeah.
no, it was 13th and
What?
Arch,
No, Arsha was on Chestnut,
Chestnut, 13th and Chestnut, the Touring Grotto.
downstairs.
Huh.
And Ralph's,
Ralph's. Which is on
was,
South Broad Street.
at
Ninth-
Oh, no,
no,
9th Street.
Ninth Street.
Ninth
I
Street.
think Phillips. Yeah.
But
Now,
Do they have, do they still have Ralph's?
Ralph's still, I believe, is
I think it's
still
still
there.
there.
Yeah.
Isn't that like right down the street from Pat's?
It is right
Yeah,
there.
I was there like because I went down to
Ralph's is there.
Philly.
You know,
roughly about to see
Pat's,
Grandma.
are you talking about Pat's Steaks?
Yeah, the steaks. It's right.
And,
it's like a block north.
We passed the place in Atlantic City that they opened up,
Right.
Yes.
and
It's
then
not
they
as
closed
They
it.
closed
Well,
it.
we,
'Cause it
we
was
flew-
horrible.
Well, a few years ago,
We went there.
we were
Why?
there. We went there,
good.
and
With
I heard
Ellie
it
on
was
Lucy.
yeah, and they gave us onions raw,
Raw onions.
And
It's
like
and
This
so we just
size.
had to brush
It
all
was
the
this
onions off.
big.
It was awful.
So they
Right.
just didn't have. I guess it can't be made outside of Philadelphia.
I guess not.
I just.
Yeah, it's either
Although the
peanut-
White House is pretty good. I
Even
don't
though
like
they
the-
say Philly steaks on
Yeah.
all the
Right.
awnings.
But it's always a big contest between Pat's and Geno's, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
right.
interesting.
Passaginos are. In fact, they're
Geno's is
distinct.
cleaner.
You think? The place.
Yeah, the place.
Okay.
Not,
The-
not,
the-
not
the
the
food.
food,
Not
not
the food.
necessarily the food. The place is
They
cleaner.
all wipe their hands.
All right, Jack, that's not
Yeah,
good.
so-
Well, actually, that's what I was going to ask about because apparently my dad got a job working for Chelsea Cleaners. What was it in Atlantic City? Table linens and
Yes.
napkins.
Yes, yes.
And got unfortunately to see the inside of every kitchen in
Yes.
Atlantic City.
Yes, he wouldn't eat anywhere after that.
But did he bring home stories about that so that you would all?
Oh, it was terrible.
Yes, we made him shut up.
And that was also when he would take Sue over his shoulder and say 60 pounds of sheets or 60 pounds of. Is that what he'd say?
Dirty
Carry up.
laundry?
Yeah.
I was busy selling Freihofer's bread or something.
Is that what you were? Did you drive a
But
van?
truck.
A
Jill had mentioned-
Freihoffer's
a
truck.
Freihoffer's truck.
That was 1 year. I had a lot of jobs.
You also, did you sell papers as well?
No,
Didn't.
that was Howard and Norman.
Yeah, right.
Howard and Norman sold papers.
Do you remember going on the sailboat with Norman and your brother and you and the boom constantly hitting Norman in the head? Do you remember that?
I really don't remember that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I do remember he got hit in the head a couple times with a boom, yeah. Yeah,
Which probably contributed to his poor relationship
Right.
with him afterwards.
I think that's what destroyed our friendship. We had a lot of experiences with the boat. I can tell you, my grandfather, you know,
The
built
minute
that.
it ran good, he did something to it to unride, to refix again.
You know, my grandfather, only joy he got was in fixing the boat,
Right.
not riding in it.
And it's also very heavy, wasn't it? It was built of solid oak and stuff.
Well,
or-
sure,
It
it
was
was,
a heavy
it
boat,
was not
and,
meant for
He
that.
first put a Chrysler engine in it, a big Chrysler engine. The thing really zipped around. But they had, I don't know if they had engine trouble or what, but eventually they changed it to a Model A Ford engine, which had a magneto and all this other stuff.
Wow.
We took it out one time. No, I'm trying to remember. I mean, we took it out a lot of times, but I remember one time we took it out and we used to bring it around to the ocean side, and then Howard and I would jump off the boat and swim into the beach.
Oh, don't ask what happiness it was in those days.
Drove everybody
What
crazy.
happened to the boat then?
Spent-
Well, Mickey was usually running.
Oh, okay, so he.
Mickey was the captain of the boat. You know.
I did more screaming and yelling in those days than anything else.
And we did a lot of, Howard and I did a lot of really crazy things with the boat.
I understand there was also a surfing craze for a little while, and they used to surf between the pilings underneath $1 Million Pier, or
No, well, not really. We, first of all, your father couldn't stand up in a surfboard to save his life.
all right.
And well, I could get up on it. In fact, I got thrown off of it. First of all, it was not like today's surfboard. My grandfather made a surfboard that was plywood, basically plywood. It was hollow, and he had a plug at the end so you could let the water out in case water got in. And the water always got in. So naturally, when you get on it, the water would shift one way or the other. You know. So you know, and I'm the one that was really crazy about it. So I'm the one that was getting whacked with this thing. And used to walk around with like stripes here. With this surfboard. But I, of course, have actually bought
We
a
had
surfboard,
such fun,
a real
don't
surfboard.
ask. We spent more time screaming than anything
Now,
else.
the thing my mother didn't know, I don't know if she does it to this day, was that Howard and I used to take the boat out, the 12-foot boat with the outboard, and it had my grandfather make what looked like a little diving plane, which was like a flat piece of wood, you know, shaped very nice with handles on it. And one of us would take turns. One of us would jump in the water with this diving plane on a rope behind the boat, and we'd tow each other along, and we'd go diving down into the bay with
Oh
this
my
thing.
God.
And you know, couldn't see anything, no goggles or anything. Swimming along the bottom of the bay, and this thing, until we couldn't hold our breath anymore. Then we'd come up, you know, and we had a lot of fun with that stuff.
So in other words, by tilting the plane, you either went down.
That's
It was
right.
almost like an
You were
elevator.
steering.
Yeah.
Well, you know, your father was the aeronautical expert, so told me how to work these things. And anything he said, I would do it. You know, I'd try anything out. You take that boat out into the ocean to go fishing with it, and 12-foot boat with a 4-horsepower motor.
So the four of you would go out to the beach down the shore, and then your father would come back to Philly to continue working?
Yes.
Is that how it would work?
Yeah. Well, of course, by then he was working 4.5 days. Friday was a half a day. Only
Well,
worked
Ellie
from
worked.
5 in the morning. till
Ellie drove the truck
12.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked. Well, of course, the one year he was hit by a car,
When he was getting
Stepped off
stuff
the
out of
truck,
he stepped
yeah.
off a truck.
and I took over the.
The room.
Right.
And of course, that was the year that I had gotten my best job down the shore. I got a job as a cabana boy at the Ambassador Hotel.
Wow.
Right.
And I worked there almost through the month of June. That was before the heavy hitters came.
Right. With
And
the real
my father,
tips.
unfortunately, got whacked, and I went back to Philadelphia to
We
run the
had,
business. And
one, Bella, what was her name?
Bellinade.
No,
Who?
the star on the
Oh,
beach.
yeah, Sophie Tucker was.
Sophie Tucker.
I bought her iced tea or something.
Wow.
Big claim to fame.
Isn't it funny you're talking about this now. Last night I dreamt about Daddy, when I first met him, and he worked down in Atlantic City in one of the not the hotel, it was a nightclub or something. And I came down on a Sunday to spend the day down there. Isn't it funny? I remember my father taking me to the, what he called, to the train, and then picking me up at night. And he had the day off. And that day was a big day for him. The main thing was that during the day, Eddie Cantor was in the show there or something, and they were in the hallway and they passed each other and rubbed elbows. And he couldn't get over that he rubbed elbows with Eddie Cantor. I think that was the excitement of the day.
So that was where would that be? Is that on the boardwalk?
No, it's not on the, what's the name of the nightclub there? There was that
The
nightclub.
500 Club?
No,
No,
before the
no.
500 Club.
No, it
Before
was
the-
before
Before
that.
the 500 Club?
No,
Huh? There was a time before the 500 Club.
The Globe.
no.
That was the
Globe.
burlesque theater.
Yeah.
Howard and I used
As
to go
opposed to the
burlesque.
Trocadero.
Right.
Yeah, Howard and I used to go to the burlesque all the time.
The girls and the comedians and the magicians and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and the girls.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Went to Steel Pier.
And one night they went out and Jackie had too much to drink
Oh.
and they had to walk home all the way home, right, Jackie?
So you still remember that?
Yep, I
I was
remember.
hoping that's part of memory I would have lost.
Walk home from.
But Jackie and I went to the Jockey Club. The Jockey Club was a gay club. I was already, at that time, I was already 19.
At 1000 on the,
Was that on Virginia Avenue or
on Virginia,
Pennsylvania?
it
I
was
forget which.
1000.
So Jackie came down, I think she was 17.
Was it tacitly gay or openly gay?
Oh, openly gay.
Openly gay.
Openly gay.
Okay.
I guess she was about 17.
Yeah, you were about 17, I was 19. So, we didn't know what to order when we get there, so
And I
so
ordered
Jackie decided to order Manhattan.
Manhattans.
And another Manhattan.
And they
And
told
another-
me that it was a 4-drink minimum.
Well, I don't know about that,
And
but it was...
I drank the
yeah, it could
4
be.
drinks.
By the fourth drink,
and
she'd
by
already
the-
smashed the glass.
Right.
Got in the glass and smashed it to smithereens. And the waiter came mincing over, really annoyed. It was very funny. And of course, then we left. We'd seen enough of the show already, And we got on the,
Got on the
walked down to
bus.
the trolley.
The bus.
Trolley.
The
Trolley car.
trolley.
Trolley
Trolley
at
car.
that time, yeah.
And
All I remember
Jackie lasted
was-
about 6 blocks on the trolley car before we had to get off because she was so nauseous. And between I guess the trolley and the jitney, or no, the taxi cab, and
No, well, I didn't
eventually
take
we got back
anything.
home,
We,
which was
we
60
walked.
blocks away.
Right.
We walked
We
about
walked
50.
all
Ventnor.
the way.
Must have walked about 40 or 50.
60 blocks, and cars were stopping. Is he bothering you?
Trying to hold
Is
it
he
up.
doing something to you? And I said, no, it's okay.
Got her back to the house and I had to like partially undress her.
And then I literally hugged the toilet.
Oh, she was so sick.
Oh man. So
God.
this day you can't have Manhattans, right? They just
No.
bring back a bad
No.
memory.
I don't even drink.
Where was the
That
house?
cured me. 7000 in Wyoming.
What?
Wyoming? No,
13 South
13
Wyoming.
South
13 South Wyoming.
Yeah.
And
700.
I still
7000 block.
pass it,
Yeah.
I go by it at least once a week.
Yeah.
Where's Nashville? What
That's
number?
where-
What hundred is that?
50.
50. Oh my. So it's 20
Nashville?
more.
Yeah.
51, I think. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's around that, yeah.
Yeah.
49.
Yeah.
Because
Atlantic City was great times. We had wonderful times.
Grandma said you would order a hoagie there. That's where you ordered your hoagies. Is that right? It would come in a loaf of Italian bread, basically
Oh, God,
huge
Yeah.
and loaded with.
wonderful.
Where would you order it from?
It was a delicate, not a delicate.
No, the Super Sub Shop was one we used
Yeah, right.
most.
Yeah,
And that was at
49,
But that,
40,
Eight.
4100, 4200,
something like that, yeah, something like
around
that.
there.
On,
Still Atlantic City.
that's- yeah.
The shop is still there. It's not the Super Sub Shop anymore, but it's.
No, but, it's not there for a while.
And then it was a great Josh's also.
Wonderful, God,
Yeah,
it was,
there. We had- Super Sub Shop was
Good
the one we
stuff,
used,
yeah.
Super Sub Shop.
yeah.
It was good times down there. Howard and I had a really had a lot of fun. We really did.
Norman too.
Norman, yeah,
Did you eat at Lou's or Abner's down there, or
yeah.
Captain Starnes was?
Lou's
We
all
used
the
to
time.
eat at
Always
Lou's
Lou's,
all
sure.
the time.
Favorite place.
And Captain Starnes.
Captain Starnes.
And
Well, none of that is there anymore.
No, it's all
No.
gone,
Yeah.
which is sad.
although Lou's is reopening up for the past 2 years.
Oh, Grandpa Howard told me about. There was one place that decided they were going to put a donut making machine in the window. It was mesmerizing, but also sickening because of all the fat.
Wait, no, what's the sickening? It was Mammy's.
The
Mammy's on the boardwalk,
Mammy's.
which
Oh,
is
right,
in
right,
the
yeah.
corner of
Right.
Steeplechase Pier.
Oh,
And we loved those donuts. I mean, they were wonderful.
We ate those
I mean,
donuts.
you know, if I had to look
like-
at them today, I mean,
I can relate to that looking at the Krispy
And
Kreme
then they
window.
became
Oh.
Dunkin' Donuts.
they also had the glazed waffles. Mammy's
wow.
made waffles.
Glazed waffles,
Yeah,
like with the
waffles.
white glaze that has
And
a
the
donut.
waffles,
Oh,
Remember
sounds
they
great.
had a
and
waffle place
watches or something?
and a donut place.
Did what?
And
Watches,
they were on the
wristwatch.
boardwalk at Steeplechase.
Oh, that's
And
another story.
it was on either side of Steeplechase that you could either get waffles or donuts.
Scylla and Charybdis, you couldn't make the
And
There
choice.
was
uh,
another
Of
interesting
course, the coffee.
thing that happened was
The coffee was.
one year, it just reminded me that there was a guy on $1 Million Pier
Yeah.
who had a gimmick where he had a duck pin ball hanging from a chain.
Wait, excuse
Oh,
me, I just want to
Grandpa
say one
told us
thing to the
about this.
children.
He figured it out.
Listen, all of this that took place, I want you to know that your grandfather was with him all the time.
Grandpa actually told us a story,
Oh,
but
yeah.
go ahead. I
Tell you
don't
that?
think he's heard it.
Anyway, the idea was to swing the ball out and have it knock the carton of cigarettes over on the way back.
Because
Now, if you knew anything about physics, unfortunately Howard and I both did, know that if you went out on this, if the thing was actually centered properly, if you didn't hit the thing on the way out, you weren't going to hit it on the way back.
Right.
Because the arc would be almost identical. I mean, it's a little bit of loss,
Pendulum,
but not-
yeah.
Okay? So there had to be a way to send it out and change the arc a little bit so we come back and so we of course figured it out. What we did is we hung a ball up in the basement of the house on a table.
That's
And we practiced. And we figured out real fast that what you really had to do was you had to figure out how to release the ball just past the carton, or at least past part of the carton, so that instead of, you know, if the carton is standing here, instead of releasing the ball here like everybody else did, you know, we would sneak it out to here and release it. So when it came back, it would clip it. So all right. So this guy had had a successful run for a month. I think almost nobody knocking the carton over. And we went up there, and it was a quarter a try. This guy had all these beautiful watches. I mean, really, really nice. And I always like to be the first one up there. On my third try, I knocked the carton over. And there was a huge crowd around it. And everybody's cheering, and it was like unbelievable, you know, somebody finally did it, you know. And the guy was really pissed.
Well, I was really afraid that he was thinking.
And I picked out a bull of a watch, you know. After that, I think Howard won a watch, and then I won another one. But the second, when I came up the second time, because you only like to do it once, I had not shaved for a week, you know. I looked like a real bum. Got another watch. And I was giving they gave the secret out to everybody at that point because the guy had already changed all his watches to cheap watches. But the funniest thing about it was that it turned out we went down to Wildwood one day, Howard and Norman and myself, and there was a guy down with the same gimmick. And I said, yeah, I'd like to try that, you know. And I put my money down, and I grabbed the ball, and the guy grabs my hand and says, get out of here before I shoot you.
No, what's the story? There's a good fudge place and a bad fudge place. A fudge place that was anti-Semitic or something. Or do you remember this?
Oh, the saltwater taffy. We always thought that James was the good saltwater taffy place, and that we were told that Frailinger's was anti-Semitic.
You were just told this, and that was common knowledge?
It was
or-
common knowledge, because Emily, some of the Frailingers lived on our block, I think.
Yeah, right.
And for some reason, we knew that they were anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
I only found out later that the other fudge place, which was Trapetians, everything was okay because Jackie's cousin worked for them for years and years and years. So they were okay. But there was always between who had the better taffy, James and Fralinger.
Fralinger,
Of course, James obviously did because they were anti-Semitic.
Semitic.
At least we didn't know if they were. I don't know how we. I mean, I don't know where
Well,
that
because
came
was
out.
it's because it was a German name, I think, maybe.
You think so?
No, I don't know. Somebody had we must have heard it from somebody, and we decided not to buy anything from them. Well, it was time, it was the times, and things were different than they are now. They were more outspoken than they
I'll
are
tell you
now.
some things I can remember from when we were much younger. We went down to Atlantic City in 1943 or 44. And I remember my father wanted to take our picture on the boardwalk and with the ocean in the background. And some
And
security guy came over
The
and
soldiers were,
took the camera away and
along
told me
the
we couldn't
board.
take pictures there. Turned out they were actually German subs that were patrolling up and down the
The
coastline there.
coast.
And they didn't want any pictures taken of the beach area or anything of that
Wow.
sort. That's from '43. Now, of course, I remember also VJ Day being down in Atlantic City when the war ended. And at that time, of course, many of the major hotels were hospitals or convalescent hospitals. And you had all the soldiers there,
Soldiers.
the amputees and everything else. And of course, when the war ended, the place went wild. I mean, they were all tossing stuff all over the boardwalk. It was quite a jubilant time. I mean, I can really remember that very vividly. We walked up and down the boardwalk.
Yeah.
When it was really quite a fantastic experience. The whole war thing was it was
Yeah,
interesting
well,
experience.
you saw the soldiers and amputees and all.
We had, going back to 68th and Dix, we always had a scrap metal pile
on our
lawn. So everybody could contribute their scrap metal to be taken in and so forth. And that was the greatest source of toys for Howard and I. Because they were always throwing things out which we were rescuing. It was really great. They had a guy who would come around and pick up paper. He had a horse and wagon. And they would pay you for the paper. I think it was a penny for £2 or 2 cents a pound or something like that. So we always had to save paper. And of course, Howard and I were early readers, so we could read the headlines on the Philadelphia papers.
We were like the spot for everything that had to do with the war, that we could help to do and to give, because my husband, his father, was very disappointed that he was rejected.
Right, it was 4F.
See, he was 4F because he had
Punctured eardrums?
punctured
Yeah.
eardrums, right. And that was to him the most embarrassing thing, what he called,
Right.
he couldn't wait to get the gun and go shoot,
He was an air raid warden.
yeah.
Mm.
He had a white helmet.
But he was, he was very embarrassed by
They
that.
had these blackout lights in the house. It was
Yeah.
really, I think it was like an interesting experience. But we sold, the store sold 3 or 4 papers, the Inquirer, the Bulletin, and the Record. And we followed the war pretty
Closely.
avidly because Mickey was,
Mickey was in there, sure.
always looking for news of the Ninth Army, which
And,
was
and
where he fought.
Frida's brother was killed there.
Yeah,
What do you call it?
right.
He had
right.
family who were
It was
soldiers.
it was an interesting time. I remember that we had to turn in our old toothpaste tubes in order to buy new toothpaste.
The aluminum or something? Or
Huh?
what was it? Aluminum or tin? It's a tin.
Tin. And I guess we dealt with the drugstore across the street.
Yeah.
What was his name?
gas was rationed,
Ag-
and sugar was
ag- ag-
rationed, and
ag-
butter
ag-
was
ag-
rationed. You couldn't get any
Something
of
like
this
that,
stuff.
Hagen,
Something like Sagan.
Sagan,
Yeah, Sagan
yeah,
drugstore.
And ration tickets, ration books?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, all that.
yes, ration books.
Because Ari did a report, and my father took him to the free library, and there they had the original ration books, and
Wow.
brought my dad back, like, in a rush. He had not seen them since he was little,
Yeah.
and there they all
Remember the
were.
ration books. Remember we had a we had an A or a B on the, for gas rationing on the car. You had to have a sticker
Gas
which told you how
station.
much gas you could get.
Yeah.
And, so,
And my father used to go up on the boulevard to get gas at this particular station. He would, I
To
don't know
avoid
where-
the rationing?
well,
to
they
Yeah,
get
didn't
the-
avoid it,
the
but
rationing,
you could trade, like my father would trade sugar for
gas.
gas.
gas or
Yeah.
whatever he needed, you know, because sugar was rationed
Uh-huh.
and
Butter
butter
was
was rationed. And of course the meats, I forget the deal with the meats. But you had to have ration stands for all these different items. And if I had to take sugar upstairs from the store upstairs to the house, you know, it's like kind of snuck it out there. It was like crazy. I mean, but, you know, like.
Well,
who would care?
we were very, what do you call people who like their country?
Patriotic.
We
No,
were
we were
very
also-
patriotic.
We're also the only Jews in the neighborhood.
Right.
This is 68th and Dix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one other family, I guess, around the corner. I forget what their name, Samuels. They were Jewish. They had two boys.
Yeah, well, of course, Sagan was Jewish.
Yes, they was Jewish, and of course Shocker also.
And yeah.
So why did you decide to move from 68th and Dix? To go
Why
to
did we
Arm?
live
Yeah.
there?
Why did you move from there? Because of the
Oh.
fact that you wanted to be somewhere,
No.
They wanted to get out of the
Sold
store.
the business.
Business.
sold the business. So
We
then
sold the
that's
store.
then Grandpa Lou took over a delivery route then, or what
No,
did he
well,
do?
and then he bought the root, the Schlor's
Schlur's
mayonnaise, pickles. He bought that root from Steve Weiss, and Steve Weiss was then going into manufacturing
Right.
salads because
Salad.
he bought the salad business from Mrs. Schlor's. Mr. Schlor's used to make salads and also
Right.
everything else, you know, coleslaw
So every
salad.
so deli would
salad.
have vats, and you'd put Mr. Schlur's coleslaw and macaroni salad and potato salad.
He wanted to get out of the store. He didn't.
Right.
He liked the person to person, but not in the store.
Right. My father felt like trapped in the store, so
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
he wanted to be out on the street, and so he
Right.
bought the business. And he had this truck, a '38 Dodge, I think it was.
He was very happy with it.
Yeah, and that's when I first started working.
I was just gonna say, and Ellie and Howard learned the
Yeah.
business.
So how old were you when you started working the route?
I was 10 or 11, first time I started working there.
So it was
Every
not.
spare day I worked.
It wasn't making the salads; it was just delivering.
Just a little, well, we bought it, my father was a jobber,
Right.
so he bought from the manufacturer and sold to the retailer, to the stores. And he had approximately 180 stops.
Wow.
He had this first or second biggest route from that manufacturer in the city. And
Is it a refrigerated truck or?
half of it was
He
refrigerated
loved it. He
and
loved
half
what he
was
was
dry
doing.
goods.
Yeah.
In the refrigerated truck, he had salads, of course. He sold all kinds of cheese, and Swiss, American.
And we had a lot of company who came and
Herring.
ate constantly with us.
It was great. I mean, I really
Unlimited
enjoyed.
food.
I really enjoyed working on the route only for one reason. I mean, it was hard work. For me, it was hard work. I guess for my father it was hard work when I wasn't there.
Mhm.
But when I would work with him, so he did the driving and the order taking, and I was the schlepper.
The
you know.
shop, right.
But the best part about it was really visiting all the places where he picked up food. And he picked up the herring place, had the strongest fish smell you could ever imagine. I mean, it was unbelievable. He picked the cheese, a couple different cheese places. He had Kraft, and he had Wildstein, Wildstein had Swiss cheeses, and big wheels and everything else. It's wonderful. I mean, the aromas were absolutely incredible. And
So it was the company we always had.
yeah, it was. I just and the Quaker, of course, the Quaker salad place. Of course, they had all the salads, and the best part was Friday. On Friday, they sold hot fish cakes and crab cakes. So my father had to be there like 6 in the morning to pick everything up. That was a really bad part.
Quaker
You know,
Foods?
At 5 o'clock in the morning to help them out, or when I was running the route to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And all these places were in South Philly. Where were these places?
The route was in South Philly.
But the places that manufacture.
Wildstein, Shoepack Pickles is another one.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you ever been to a pickle factory, I don't know what they are today, but this pickle factory, Shoepack's, had these barrels of kosher pickles, and the floor was always slippery from the brine.
Right.
Okay,
It's like
and this
Like
place,
Gus's.
this place would have been closed down by the Board of Health in a minute. I mean, like unbelievable, disgusting. It really was. But I liked going to these places because
Were they good pickles?
The pickles are wonderful. Well, it's like, you know, if you've been to the Lower East Side of New York,
We
they
go
have
to
pickle places
Gus's,
down there.
which is, well, now it's in front of the Tenement Museum.
On Essex Street, it's
Best
Gus's.
pickles in Lower
Yeah.
East Side.
So
Big
we're
slimy
exploring
plastic
East Side,
drums,
too.
yeah.
So, you know, so it was really, it was kind of, I mean, I enjoyed working for Dad, even though he paid me $2
Every
a
little
day.
butkus,
I
butkus.
finally got a raise to $3 a day, I think, when I was 15 or 16.
So you do that and go to school, or you do that only in the summer, or how did that work?
I just worked on my days off from school, and you know, whenever we had a holiday,
Mm-hmm.
so I really helped that out. It was good though. I mean, and of course we always eat lunch. We had definite places for lunch.
Yeah.
Melrose Diner was definitely 2 days a week. Linton's was 1 day a week.
Linton's, oh my God.
And what was the other place? There's some other place I can't remember. And in Melrose Diner, every time we come in there, I'd always order 2 cheeseburgers, and fries, you know. And the cook would always turn around. The cook was hard of hearing, by the way, the shorter cook. And he'd turn around and say, "You know, Lou, it'd be cheaper to shoot him than to feed him."
Oh my,
Wow.
Daddy.
Melrose is still
You miss
there.
so much.
Yes, I know. It's a little different than it was when I
Yeah.
was there. But I was in it a couple years ago, I guess. A little disappointed. They kind of changed it around a lot.
No more 2 cheeseburgers?
Huh?
The 2 cheeseburgers off the menu?
But they were kind of interesting days.
everybody
They
was
really were.
just
So like I said, I was like 11 when I first started doing it, and I remember when he bought his new truck, which was a 1950 Ford or 51 Ford. And I went with him all the time to the body shops, go shopping to different body shops. They had the body made up to
Yeah.
put on the chassis.
Right.
And after he decided on the truck he was going to get, I must have visited with him 6, 8 different body works places, you know, design the body and how he wanted it and so forth.
He's so particular about cars and about vehicles in general, it seems.
Well, the vehicles were funny. I mean, you know, he had a. After the war, my father wanted to get a new car, so he signed up for a Ford. 1946 was the first year they were making it, and he really got tossed around because, like, he was third on the list, and he was second on the list, and he was fourth on the list, and they kept telling him, well, you know, fleet cars are coming. Only fleet cars are coming in, you know, for major.
Right.
I don't know how he finally was able to get a car, but he finally did get a 46 Ford, and he loved that car. It was really nice. And after that, next car was that the Kaiser Fraser, the Kaiser?
Yeah, Kaiser.
Is that the car you learned to drive in, Grandma? The Kaiser?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I learned to drive when I was 18 years old, but he wouldn't let me drive until after Susie was born.
Yeah, you got a license. You got a license a year before me.
Yeah,
So
well, because I learned in New Jersey and New York, so I went,
Well,
and I didn't drive for a number of years.
right, I got my license in 1950. So Mom got hers in 1949.
Yeah, before
Pennsylvania
you,
license.
yeah,
Right.
right.
But the truck, you know, he designed the truck, you know, very carefully.
Yeah, I learned to drive because the reason I got my license was because he was in a little accident and he got hit in the eye and he couldn't see, and somebody had to drive the car home. And so the next day I went and got my license. I didn't have any problem because I knew that I could do it, you know, because he wouldn't let anybody touch his car. So that's how come I got my license at that time, because he got hit in the eye and he couldn't see.
Right. In 48, he bought this Kaiser, the Kaiser Traveler,
Mm-hmm.
which had a liftback.
Wow.
It was a huge tank of a car. I mean, it was really, and he had special racks made up that would fit inside, these big iron racks, which must weigh 200 pounds. We had to pick them in there every Thursday night. But Friday we'd pick up the fish cakes and the crab cakes and the bulk salads, because that was he delivering the salads in the cans of anywhere from 5 to 30-pound cans of bulk salad.
Wow.
With special
And fish cakes and crab cakes because the Catholics needed to eat not meat.
fish on Friday.
Fish on Friday.
Right.
And it's South Philly, so that was half
Right.
Italian and half black
yeah.
clientele.
At that time, it was mostly
Mostly
Italian.
Mostly Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of Jews in South Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of Jews.
A lot of Jews.
So
They
in 100,
originally was Jews.
180 stops, 180 delis or restaurants or things that you were
Not restaurants, they're all grocery stores.
grocery stores.
Uh,
They're like
couple
corner
of-
bodega kind of stores, corner stores, not
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
not supermarkets. That's
No.
This is
no.
before supermarkets really hit South Philly.
Yeah, although I had a
Mom and pop stores.
I had a route
Yeah.
one year when I sold stuff down the shore, and one of my stops was Starnes supermarket. They were buying salads from me. Of course, Starnes has all they were all
The
ShopRites
fish.
now.
Yeah,
At that time, they were in Pleasantville. They had a
Pleasantville, New Jersey.
supermarket there. But yeah, it was all corner groceries kind of stuff. And Dad had a good relationship with all the customers for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of kind of nasty guys. Some of the stores were really kind of interesting. He had a couple Italian delis with the salamis and the provolones hanging from the ceiling, dripping on the floor. And of course, the owner was a guy that spoke to Cherut. He hardly spoke any English. And my father loved to go in to talk to this guy. I didn't know what it was all about. But walking in, it was like walking into a wall. I mean, there's a wall of aroma. It took a few minutes to acclimate yourself to be able to breathe, to realize there was oxygen there too.
Well, you like dance around dizzily looking for the.
Yeah, you had to bang your head on the cheese and hang down on the ceiling. It was it's a really kind of interesting job. I think it was interesting because my father was out and he had the chance to talk to all these other people.
He loved it. He loved it.
It was, well, it really wasn't selling very much. There was some selling to it, but not a whole lot.
He was just refilling orders, basically. He
Yeah,
wasn't.
I'd ask them what they need, and they would make suggestions about new products or stuff like that. And every year, Mrs. Schlor's, the manufacturer, it was owned by Mrs. Smith, actually, I think.
Yeah.
Would have this big dinner for all the drivers, who sold the stuff, a fancy dinner with all kinds of stuff, And I remember a couple years Mom didn't want to go, so he took me. And I'd always heard about the dessert was baked Alaska, and to me, baked Alaska, mostly exotic thing, And I got baked Alaska, and the food was great. And it was better when I went with my father, because then he could have a couple drinks. If my mother went, she wouldn't let him drink, so.
Thank you.
Well, every year they gave him a bottle of brandy,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
A bottle with his
Yeah.
name on it and so forth and so on,
Wow.
like a gift, kind
Right.
of thing. I think one year my mother dumped it down the sink. If I remember correctly.
Oh, Ellie, I remember that. I was thinking, isn't it funny? I thought about it the other day. I thought, what kind of a jerk was I? God, I was so rotten.
Were you worried that alcoholism would happen, or
Yes,
is that what
of
you?
course. Why else?
Were there people in the family that had alcoholism that were like?
No, but the both boys each had a glass in their hand, and they were laughing and joking, and I thought, this is going to be wonderful. They're going to really love it. So I took the bottle and I poured the whole thing into the sink. I really thought that he was going to kill me, but he didn't
Probably
talk to me.
should've.
He didn't talk to me for a couple of weeks at all, and that was even worse than anything. It was terrible. But what do you call it? But got over it.
I guess so.
The boys both stood there like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? I'm
Wow.
surprised he didn't haul off and smack me.
But he didn't do that.
No, he
Generally.
didn't. He just got very quiet and he didn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't like
That's
that
pretty
either,
bad.
I'll tell you. It was so stupid, but well, I had very peculiar ideas about things anyhow.
Well, I was taught one drink made you an alcoholic.
Right.
I was raised with that. That's where I got that from.
Both boys are going to become drunkards.
And the only one who did was Howard.
Huh?
Oh,
Your
man.
father used to sit there and consume a bottle of wine. He was into wine for 1 year. Rhine wines especially, I guess.
Yeah,
So
so
forth, and other
It's funny.
type German wines.
Looking back, yeah,
So-
it was really something.
His style was to become an expert in something,
German
to study it and become an expert.
Something like that,
Something
yes.
like
Listen, I want to take you guys out to eat. We don't eat downstairs.
Not today.
Huh?
Not
Not
today.
today.
No, not today.
No, but we will be back
Why not
after.
today?
It was,
Because we're on a tight schedule.
Oh, are you?
We really have to, Jeffrey moved in,
Oh, yeah, right.
so,
So,
Empty nest no longer. Empty nest no longer.
Oh, for sure. No, it's very filled up, as a matter of fact.
Refeathered.
Very filled. I
Overstuffed.
closed the door to Leslie's bedroom because he made it very clear to me that he had more stuff than would fit in his bedroom. And he was taking the bigger room by
Well, they have the
moving into
second
Leslie's
bedroom.
room.
Second bedroom.
And
What about the
now
attic?
I just closed the door.
Well, he could have moved to the attic, but he wanted her bedroom, so just empty. I mean, nobody's there.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think.
Shaggy's dressing room is what it had been.
Well,
so-
He
actually-
didn't even mention the attic.
No, he never.
It's too far.
It never.
Yes.
It means climbing another set of
Yes,
steps.
exactly.
We have a lot of stuff to put away.
Mm.
We spent the whole morning delivering Schlachmanut and
Oh, good.
Yeah.
so I still got a few things to do. So I got home Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning and didn't quite catch up yet.
You got back Friday? When did you get back? You just got back.
Friday. Yeah, he just got
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
The other
2 o'clock
night.
Saturday morning.
You're doing pretty well for lack of sleep and.
Well, I kind of caught up a little bit last night. Jeffrey, I felt sorry for Jeffrey because he got to bed at 2:30.
And he had to
He
be
had
up
to
at
be up at
quarter of
6:30.
6, quarter of 7.
Yeah.
He had to be out of the house.
So he got like 3 or 4 hours sleep and he had to go
Yikes.
to work all day.
And then he came home yesterday and he went to lay down about 6 o'clock.
Right.
And we went out about 8 o'clock, and he was still sleeping, sound asleep and snoring away. And I came home at 12, and I saw the empty tin of tuna fish. I figured he had gotten up, and he said he got up for 1
1 hour.
hour.
Then he went back
And
to
then
bed.
he
back
went
to bed.
back to sleep.
God, vacation
And
is
he
exhausting.
got
We
up,
shouldn't have as
uh,
much vacation as we do.
9:30 or 9:30 this morning.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
banged on
You
his
working
door,
today?
Yeah.
and he was he had a lesson at
10:30.
10:30
Wow.
outside, and then he was going to work from 12 to 6.
Yeah, the fit really hit the shan for when he was away because his boss was fired,
Oh dear.
Oh,
and he's well, he'll move up, I guess,
I hope that'll be good for him.
somewhat. Yeah, it'll be good for him, I think.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff going on with the tennis
Yeah.
court while he was gone.
Picked a good time to go skiing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. That's what he said. It's time to be away from there.
When my homework took less long, when I was like in 6th grade or whatever, I found an easy way to fall asleep. I just turned on the Nick game.
You just
Right.
Next thing I know,
I
I'm
thought
asleep.
you just started doing homework, and then you would be off.
That's one of the reasons I'm not a Nick fan anymore, because I get them sleepy.
So it's
Alright.
Jamie's birthday apparently today.
Yes,
Yeah.
we bought her a little
Oh, that's sweet.
something for her.
And,
what, Jamie?
We,
Oh, right, I
we
forgot
called her
all
up and
about
sang happy birthday to her.
It's
Uh-huh,
really
you
good of
did.
you.
On her cell phone. Yeah.
so
it. So what's here?
we're
There's a red bag here, Mom.
a bag of shog bonnets.
Oh, okay.
And,
Your father sent me a postcard from
From the DR?
Yeah, he said.
From the
Puerto
ship.
Rico.
Yeah,
Yes.
from Puerto Rico.
from the
So
ship.
what was that
and I
for?
assumed everything was hunky-dory. When I called him up,
It's
he
for
told me he
Jamie.
was sick
For
at
Jamie?
the time he was
Yes.
away.
He
It's a
said
birthday
when
present.
things were good, they were great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's all he
And I
said to
spoke
me.
him, he said that he had
And,
like salmonella poisoning.
Oh no.
4 days.
Oh, that's terrible. And you're stuck on a ship.
Until he got to Puerto Rico, when
Huh?
he had something but he
Okay.
thought the first 2 days he figured we just
I
temporarily
put
go away.
in happy
Of course
birthday.
it didn't.
That's
They
that's
realize
how
it wasn't
we
really-
think too. We're really dumb about like headaches. We don't take aspirin; it will go away as it's building.
He sent me a
I told
postcard
him, so
from
wait a minute.
the
Lauren's
DR and told
birthday
the
was
the
the
houses
last
aren't too.
You know, I told
You know,
Susie to take care
there'll
of
have
it
4
for me.
people here, but I still
Send
Sammy
her a
Sosa's
check.
house. So it's not that bad. That's what he said.
So whose next birthday is this one?
Yes, mine is,
Yeah. It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Happy
Tuesday.
I
birthday.
think my
Birthday.
father, of course,
We're
would never let us forget his
celebrating
birthday.
on Friday.
For about a month before his birthday, he kept reminding us that his birthday was coming up every year. It was very funny.
Well, I make sure my birthday is the most important day of the year, especially since there's not much of it left.
Brooks traditions are carried on. Yeah.
You
All
don't
right.
have not to get me anything for my birthday, but if you think about it, here's a 50-page list.
The 50-page expensive.
Email it to me, please.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
you ready, Jack?
Yes,
That's the road.
we're gonna go.
We're gonna drive back up to Yonkers. Yonkers.
Are you sure you don't wanna come down and eat with me?
I'm sure, Grandma, not this time. Next time we will allot more time. I want to bring my wife,
Okay.
Whoever she is.
whoever she is. She's busy preparing her dissertation defense.
Oh, really?
Thursday, she goes and defends her dissertation with her very life. So we'll know Thursday evening whether she's Dr. Della.
Oh,
That's happening Thursday.
wow.
And then Sunday we're flying to Rome.
Are you
Sorry.
leaving
So
Sunday?
Thursday,
Wow.
she's finished.
Thursday, well, yeah, Thursday she defends, and assuming they like it, and doesn't
What, now,
do too
what's
many.
your topic?
Her topic is the use of objects in museums to teach history, and what classroom teachers can learn from that, basically. So that's her topic. 9 years
I
in the
don't see
making.
why they
Oh.
wouldn't like it, why they wouldn't accept
Okay,
it.
I'll send them a note.
Yes.
I'm gonna be revisiting my old friend Jetlag, and
You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
or maybe it's my fault.
Okay, Ma.
Okay, Ellie.
Happy Purim.
Okay.
Okay.